I'm Autumn Brown, front woman of the soul pop band Autumn, a queer science fiction writer, a theologian, a mother of dragons, an interventionist against candy corn, and a healing justice facilitator for social movements living on Dakota and Anishinaabe land, currently known as Minneapolis. You can't sage away the fact that it's wrong.
That's why this is Palo Santo. So I'm Adrienne Marie Brown, a luscious Black queer witch, a writer auntie, an apocalyptic cosmic optimist. And honey, y'all making that work so hard. But I am a gardener of healing ideas. I live in the land of the Okinichi, Shikori, Skurure, Tuscarora, Eno, and Lumbee peoples.
And this is How to Survive the End of the World.
Our podcast about learning from apocalypse with grace, rigor, and curiosity.
As a reminder, we have no ads. We're fully listener supported.
We are listener supported, so join our Patreon for exclusive content. Wow, I guess I'm really sing-songy today.
You are sing-songy today. All right, we're doing something really special today.
We're laughing out loud. And we're living and loving.
We're doing Artist Fractals.
Artist Fractals.
Artist Fractals.
Artist Fractals. That's the title.
Adrienne and I were like, okay, we're both in big artistic pushes. We're both in big artistic process.
We write books.
We write books. And because of that, we don't have as much time for recording in the traditional way. But the time that we do have, we thought it would be really cool to spend it talking about process. And we thought it would be cool to do it in a kind of small bite way, or as Adrienne adorably just named it, Artist Fractal way. Talking about like, what are the small tools, or maybe another way of thinking about it is like the practices or the hacks that we've come up with that really support our own artistic process. And I would say both our writing processes as well as other types of artistic work that we do. Because I'm sure we'll be drawing on all the things. We are both deep in the book writing stuff right now. So that's probably where a lot of this is going to come from. But each of these little mini episodes, we're going to be focused on a different practice and a different little bite. And the first one we wanted to talk about was making space for writing. So Adrienne, I would love to kick it to you first. How do you make space in your life to write?
Well, I mean, just even the adaptation we're making now to do these like smaller episodes, you know, there's a lot of moves like that I make in my life as my book writing process starts to pick up. If I notice anything bumping up against it on my schedule, if I find that people are asking like, can you come do this or come do that? I can feel in my system when it starts to be like, no, like I don't want to do that more than I want to be writing my book. Mm-hmm. So part of it is doing some of the literal scheduling as if I'm writing a book. And I think before I get to that, actually, yeah, I need to back it up because I'm like,
back it up.
For me, there's a whole spiritual aspect of this and a permission aspect of this that I want to speak to, which is like the book starts taking up space in me first. Like before I have even made the full plan of like, I'm doing this, it starts to grow within me. It's growing in my mind. It's growing in my heart. It's starting to become a lens that's overtaking any other lens that I have. Mm-hmm. And it starts to be the way I'm processing and understanding the world. And so much so that I get annoying to myself because I start being in conversations with people being like, yes, like I'm writing in my book. It's like, girl, no one's read that. Like you can't reference something that like no one else has read.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Nobody knows what you're talking about. You don't even know because you haven't read it. You know, you haven't written it yet. It's just all right. But I'm like, oh, it starts to get that real inside me that I'm like, I can really feel it. So I want to say that first. I do think that with almost all things in the universe, something comes first from the universe. And then you answer the invitation or you respond to like a yearning or a longing or something. So for me, like that first space making is being like, oh, I need to acknowledge you.
There's something here.
There's something here. And do you have a name? Oh, emergent strategy. Or do you have a name? No, not yet. Or do you have a name? Some general thing about love? Not quite sure. It's like, okay, fine. But there's something here. And there starts to be a feeling of like, okay, now I'm going to have to figure out how to make my life work so that I can listen and hear what this is and learn about it. And I start to get really curious about it. For years, I would make workshop processes so that I could have space to be in conversation with other people and kind of field test out some of the stuff that I wanted to write about. And I now understand that even that was part of my writing process, that I'm like, oh, I'm doing all of this so that I can just understand it more. That feels very different from what I do when I'm writing fiction or poetry, but there's still something there where I'm like, oh, I start to move it in my life. And then there's the process of, okay, now I know I'm writing this project and now I need to make time for it. And I'm in a new experience right now. I've always been in the experience of, I've still got a lot of other jobs and work that I'm doing, and I'm kind of hustling and writing my books in the morning, in the evening, grabbing a moment in the bathroom, like that kind of grabbing time. Now I feel like I'm in a space where I'm like, oh, I have some space. Like my job right now primarily is to write, and there's less time that I have to be away from it. But even with that, I have to confess that like having more literal time doesn't necessarily mean I give myself more creative time. It's amazing to me how quickly like I can fill up the time if I'm not careful with just living, just being like, I need to go to another doctor appointment. Like my health has been on the rocks this year. And so I'm like, oh, I could have a full-time job just trying to take care of this body on this earth. I could have a full-time job just being in solidarity with all the movements I care about and like answering every single need and call and request that I get. And so I have to be the one who's like, I believe that this book is why I have a body and why I have a voice and why I'm living. And like, like I have to really let the book become that sizable to me that I'm like, this is part of my calling and my purpose. And so I'm going to prioritize it. So I'll stop there because there's more I want to say about like the nuances or the subtleties of it. But I think that's the sort of big top line. And I want to hear from you, like what that raises in you and how you make space, especially because our lives are fairly different in that you've got 3 other people that rely on you for life, that you are also figuring out how to make, like when I'm making space, I'm like, I've got me. I got friends and my lover and everything, but like, there's no one who's like in a house depending on my attention.
Right. I feel like the 2 things that are coming to my mind in that spirit are, one is like, how do I make the physical space of my writing so that I have a place to go to that feels like this is the location of the writing. And then the other is, how do I make space in my life to be able to do like a really big push? Which to me is also kind of geographical. Both of those things feel geographical.
Yeah.
I have noticed for myself, and again, all of this stuff, and I hope the listeners can really tune into this, like all of these things are very personal to us. And so any practice we're going to share in these fractal episodes, it's something that works for us, and you would have to figure out, does this work for you? But I know for myself, one of the things that has been a really important part for me of the writing part of my practice in particular is having a physical location that's designated in my home at which my creative work happens. That doesn't mean that that's always where I am when I'm doing my writing, but rather that just the act of designating a location that is the site for my creativity means that, like, if I'm allowing it, it's like what you were naming about, it takes up space inside of me first before, and I have to acknowledge it. For me, having a physical location for my writing in my home is one of the ways that I make a commitment to the project, right? So part of that is like my actual desk where I'm in a situation now and when I bought this house for the first time in my life, I finally had like an actual office that was separate from all other parts of my house. And up until this point in my life, I'd never had a designated space, just
a room of one's own.
A room of one's own that wasn't also like
you've never had that room of one's own.
My dining room, my whatever, my kitchen,
closet,
closet. So what's cool is that in this room is big enough that I have like my desk that I work at where I take meetings and teach classes from and everything like that. And then I also have a writing table. I don't do any writing at the writing table, but I have a lot of my writing projects organized there. And above my writing table, I currently have my book that I just finished writing storyboarded on the wall. And then my novel that I hope to finish in the next couple of years is storyboarded on the other wall on the other side of the room. And I have little
and we're going to come back and talk about storyboarding as a practice.
Yeah. But I also have like little, like I have an altar to my creativity over here and an altar to creativity over there. Like I have things set up in this space. I have like a picture of our grandmother. I have a candle that I light when I need to like set an intention. I have a bunch of things that are set up in this space that are specifically for my creative practice. Now, I will often, and especially when I was working on this book, I would often like take my computer downstairs and write on my couch in the living room. But for me, there was something about having this like designated space of creativity that said, I take this seriously enough to give it its own home inside my home. And then the other thing I'll say related to that is that for me, and this has always been true, for me, going away from my life is an important part of how I either initiate or finish a major project. That's true for writing. That's true for music. I think that there's some parts of creative practice and artistic process where you have to kind of suspend, like you have to suspend your daily life so you can like suspend yourself inside of like the artistic time, which is different than regular time. Right. So I just last week went and did a writing retreat in North Carolina on an island. Like I had a friend who has a beach house that she just let me stay in for free. And
it's not me, y'all.
It's not Adrienne. It's a different friend. And I was there for 7 days straight and was able to, and I had to get a lot of help in order to make that happen. Right. So I had our mom come stay in my home for that entire stretch of time, take care of the kids, take care of my cat, take care of my home. You know, I had a lot of people supporting my ability to do that. And I had to set up my work schedule in such a way that made it possible to do that. And it took a lot of planning, forethought, all the things. But it meant that I was able to temporarily suspend the responsibilities of my daily life in order to make room for the type of work that needed to happen. So working on a book, obviously, it's a really big project. And it can't all happen outside of daily life. But this part of the process for me, the part that was like finishing the book, I actually needed to suspend the responsibilities of daily life in order to give attention to that part of the work. And so I think that in terms of this, like, how do we make space for writing? How do we make space for creation? I think different parts of the creative process require different kinds of space.
I deeply agree with that. And, you know, as you're talking, I was like, oh, that's one of the things that feels really different right now is I've always done like writing the small bits and then going away and having this moment of like, okay, now I'm all in. And part of what I've been trying to navigate with this writing practice, which is a little different, is like, what is the daily amount of writing that feels satisfying to me? And what I have found is it's not so different, but it's like, oh, instead of waiting till I go, like I will, at some point, I will also probably step away from here and just go somewhere else where I can fully dive in. But in the daily practice, I'm like, it's not time. It's about the depth of truth I'm able to touch into. And some days it's like, that's how I'm judging the quality of my writing day now, where I think for a while, it was very much like, how many words can I get done in a day? And I just need to push these words out of myself and like give myself a bunch of content. I'm like, I trust that a lot of content will come out. What I'm really interested in is like, what's the truest thing? And that's where I think artists need space in order to hear the truth. So part of what I think happens for me is I get these feelings of like, it might take me a whole hard day. Like this week, I mean, I'll be transparent. This week I had like a major pain flare in my body.
Right.
And it took like the whole week to kind of feel and recover from it. But also to be like, what wisdom is coming into my body in the form of pain? What is this pain linked to? What could it mean? How can I tie it back to the book? Like, how can I make space for the truth of this pain? And, oh, this pain is tied to trauma. And I'm trying to write about some trauma for this book. I'm trying to write about things that matter. I'm like, you need a lot of room actually for all of that. And it means that I can already feel that what's happening for this book feels deeper than, it feels like a deeper level than I've ever been able to reach in the drafting phase of any of my writing processes. But it's like, there's something about giving myself permission to be like, oh, today you only wrote down one sentence. And it was like, I am so tired of being in pain. And that's the most loving thing I can acknowledge to myself. And, you know, I'm tired of feeling like my body attacking itself. I'm tired of feeling like the mysteries of being alive in perimenopause. I'm tired, you know, and just revealing that to myself on the page. Yeah. Right. Was like, I needed the whole day to get that out. And I always want to confess these things, especially to people who are not necessarily artists, because I'm like, I think it can look really weird to be like, what is this person doing? Like, what do you do? What does it mean? You know, like, what are you doing all day? But I'm like, so much of being an artist is being an emotionally awake, emotionally aware person first.
Totally.
And so much of it is like, how am I making space to actually feel what I need to feel what it means to be alive right now, feel the relevance of this project, feel the relevance of this art, and then carve out space for it to exist.
It's like you're living life and then making art about the life that you're living.
Shake these bones, oh I gotta shake these.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there for this episode.
That was a good first fractal.
That was a good first fractal. And we'll be back with another fractal very soon. Thanks for listening to our show. We're on Instagram at End of the World PC.
You can make a sustaining donation to our show by visiting our page at patreon.com/endoftheworldshow. If you become a patron, or you're one already, you get our show inside a show, Top Culture.
Another thing you can do to help our show sustain itself is to write us a review on Apple Podcasts if you're an iPhone person. This helps people looking for good new content to find us instead of Jordan Peterson. Thank you.
Ew. How to Survive the End of the World is produced and edited by the incomparable Zach Rosen. Transcripts are in our show notes and on our website at endoftheworldshow.org.
Music for today's show comes from Tunde Laniran and the Bangsons.